Greetings, my friends. Welcome back to You Know Who. I'm your host, Lord Stark. And with me, as always, is my cameraman, the reviewer.
Oh, crumbs. Really, now, I'm the host of this show.
You're still recovering from that beating you took last week. That face is not meant for a camera right now. Besides, a little empathy goes a long way. If you want Jimmy back as your cameraman, you're going to do his job for a week and see what he goes through.
Oh, it's quite ridiculous. I don't want him back. I never want to see Jamie again.
Yeah, you told me that. Tell me again at the end of the episode, and maybe I'll believe you. Let's dive right back into Doctor Who, my friends. This is Oxygen.
As the Doctor narration reminds us just how lethal space is, we see two bodies spinning through space, but without helmets. Two helmeted astronauts, each with only one oxygen credit left, crawl along a space station, though a woman is telling her male partner that she wants to have a baby with him. But, of course, her comm is broken. The helmetless astronauts land. A moment later, the man, Ivan, sees his partner's helmet float past him. The three, let's call them astrozombs, advance on him.
Astrozombs? Beach White Walkers. Why, what would you call them?
What about zombie knots?
No good. Sounds like they're suiting up to go explore zombies. It doesn't make sense, man!
At college, the Doctor's giving a lecture on how you can die in the vacuum of space. Since there's no air pressure, do not hold your breath. But he's supposed to be talking about crop rotation. Nardole knows the Doctor misses going into space. He's homesick for the stars. The Doctor decides to take Bill into space as he's picked up a distress call. Except Nardole busts him. He saw through the Doctor's request that he drive to another city to buy potato chips. The Doctor ordered Nardole to keep him here and guard the vault, so he stole the fluid link that lets the TARDIS take off. Except it was the Doctor who told him that the TARDIS needed a fluid link to take off, and he lied. The TARDIS dematerializes, and for once, the banter between Nardole and the Doctor is working. For whatever flaws this episode has, it gets that relationship right. Nardole is in essence the Doctor's conscience, but he's also his punching bag. Yes, he should be forcing the Doctor to do the right thing, but the Doctor should also fight back a little and verbally abuse him a bit.
It must be awful to have a boss who's always lying to you, using you and making fun of you.
Yes. Wait, are you referring to me? I'm only a mitigated girl. I never lied to Jamie, and he constantly made fun of me.
Well, then why am I trying so hard to get you two back together?
If you're a jerk, don't blame me. The trio arrive on the space station, but there's no oxygen. The Doctor extends the air shell around the TARDIS so they can breathe. There's signs everywhere warning against wasting air as Bill gets a look outside. They find a dead astronaut. The suit's hydraulics are keeping him standing, which freaks Bill out a bit. The Doctor finds computer logs saying 36 of the 40 crew members are dead, and that the station was showing record low profits. Nardole and Bill want to leave, but the Doctor insists on finding the remaining 4 crew members. They enter a room and see someone in a spacesuit loading cargo, except there's no one in the suit. The AI explains that there is no oxygen in the station, only in the suits, as long as the crew keeps buying its own breathing air. Unlicensed air will be expelled to protect their profits. And I can admit that this idea of air as a valuable commodity is a nice spin on corporate greed in space. But it does bring up some logic questions, such as why would anyone agree to do a job where they could die from lack of funds? And later on, after the reveal, you wonder why nobody noticed all the dead astronauts who never came back from these jobs. Bill mentions that they just filled this station with air. Alarms go off. The station decompresses to expel the oxygen, and the crew is separated from the TARDIS. Taking refuge in an oxygenated maintenance bay, a voice comes over the comms. Crew Chief Tasca. He warns them of the suits as a single astrozomb attacks. The Doctor whips out the sonic screwdriver, but it flies into the zombie's hand. It crushes the sonic, but this also shorts out the suit. They find a command was sent into the suits to kill their organic components, aka the crew. The station is preparing to vent the remaining oxygen, so they'll have to put on the suits. Bill's worried, but the Doctor reassures her this is a repair station, so any suits here were likely offline when the kill command was sent. Nardole questions where the dead crew is, and turns on the exterior lights to show a procession of astrozombs. And, unfortunately, while the makeup is impressive, having a bunch of shuffling zombies has been done to death. The last episode, Knock Knock, was effective up to a point when we finally see the bugs. Here we see the monsters right from the start, but since zombies are so culturally familiar and cliched at this point, I don't feel like they scared the viewers effectively as another monster might have. They decide to hook up with the crew, sealing the astrozoms behind them. They meet the rest of the crew, Tasca, Ivan, Abby, and a very blue man named Da Ren, who Bill freaks out about, leading him to believe she's racist. They psychic paper the crew into thinking they're from the Union.
I tried to form a union once, so we could get equitable treatment for all the review hosts on this channel. The last Angry Geek had my thumbs broken.
That's terrible!
Especially when you consider that he plays all the parts himself. Ow! It's still sore. I'll never play King Kong again.
Bill's suit glitches her into Frankenstein monster mode and the crew laments. They can't get to the TARDIS, and no one here has more than 3,000 breaths left. The Doctor takes charge. These four survive because they took their comms offline when they went to repair a certain part of the station as the kill command was sent. This can't be a theft. The station's productivity is at an all-time low, and they simply harvest cheap copper ore. The AI isn't smart enough to go rogue. Abby reminds him they're running out of oxygen. The Doctor can solve the big picture later. The astrozoms repair the broken lock. The crew decides to head into the core where they should be safe, but they get ambushed by members of the dead crew who killed Tasca. They head into an airlock and put on their helmets. But a malfunction goes off and Bill's suit forces off her helmet. They can't stop the decompression sequence. Bill's about to be exposed to the vacuum, so she remembers not to hold her breath. The air leaves her, and Bill starts to freeze before passing out. Bill's panic here is especially well done. We're seeing the lesser side of Bill. The nobility is almost forgotten in the face of fear and mortality. She wakes up with her helmet on and brief visions of the crew firing on the astrozoms. Nardal finds her. The suits can't get to them because this part of the station is new and doesn't appear in their maps. Further, the Doctor gave his helmet but spent too long in the vacuum. He's in Section 12, something the suits overhear. Bill is brought to the Doctor and is shocked. He's blind.
Oh my giddy aunt!
That's my line!
Sorry, but reviewer, think about it. If something terrible happened to you or Jamie before you both had a chance to make amends, wouldn't you regret it? I mean, you said he walked out on you, but did you ever think he just wanted you to try and stop him?
Well,
And you say he left because of the changes you made to the show, but did you ever think he left because you made those changes without consulting him?
Well,
And finally, reviewer, when was the last time you told him you loved him?
Well, I never told him I love him.
Really? Why not?
I don't.
Oh.
But I haven't always been the best boss. You've given me a lot to think about, Gaylord.
Sorry about all the heavy stuff, folks. We'll be back to the puns and bad jokes next episode.
They pick up a signal. A rescue ship is on the way, but if it is, then who are the Doctor and his friends? Hey, he's here to save them, even as the astrozoms detect the new map and enter and kill Da Ren. They run, but Bill's suit again malfunctions, and they can't get her out of there before the astrozoms arrive. The Doctor has an epiphany. The suits weren't hacked. He promises Bill she will survive what comes next, but they abandon the panicking companion. They electrocute her, and as she screams out for her mother, Bill dies. This is the second time she's faced her fear, and arguably the more emotional, as she calls out for the mother she never knew. A moment of primal fear embodied in the woman she spent a whole lifetime missing. I wouldn't mind Pro Mackie having more dramatic scenes like this. Nardal thinks the Doctor's trying to take the coolant from the nuclear reactor and split the water into hydrogen and oxygen. No, the Doctor's tired of the tragedy being no one's fault. He's not going to use the coolant to create oxygen. He's going to use it to destabilize the nuclear reactor and destroy the station. He hooks up the crew's life signs to a dead man's switch. If they die, the station explodes. Abby reminds him, there's a rescue ship on the way, they just have to wait. No, there isn't. The Doctor knows the oxygen on this station is more expensive than the crew, and they'd become inefficient. They check the logs and see that the rescue ship was sent to the station before they ever sent out a distress call. It's carrying their replacements. The Doctor says to let the astrozoms in. If they die, then the station is destroyed and the company loses its investment. The astrozoms advance in, and then at the last minute, the suits stop. The Doctor revives Bill. Her damaged suit's battery was too low to kill her. She was merely stunned. The suits then turn over their oxygen to the remaining crew. And this might be the biggest flaw in the story. There's no obvious villain. The show's going for zombies in space, but by the end, the crew wants to punish a nameless company. Hey, it's okay to have mindless killing machines. Voyage of the Damned comes to mind, but at the end, you don't want to hold a concept accountable. You want an asshole in a box named Max to suffer. Although I will give points to Peter Capaldi, he plays blind well, never patronizing us with things like arms stuck out and looking around but not seeing anything. And his rallying speech about having a spectacular death at the end is pretty cool. In the TARDIS, they're fixing the Doctor's eyes. He couldn't tell Bill that her suit wouldn't kill her, or the Astrozoms would have heard and corrected the mistake. Abby and Ivan thank the doctor, and he'll take them to their bosses to arrange a complaint. In the aftermath, the doctor explains that this will eventually lead to the downfall of the capitalist system. After Bill says goodbye, Nardal comes in to harangue the doctor over abandoning the vault. He demands the doctor look at him when he's talking, but the doctor can't. He's blind.
There are none so blind as those who will not see.
That may be the stupidest thing you've said all day.
You know, I'm starting to think you're right. Being the host is the harder of the two jobs. Especially when you've got a snotty cameraman who won't stop making jokes at your expense. Now hush your mouth. Oxygen was an okay episode, but it suffers from being shown back-to-back with Knock Knock. It's another scary story right after a better told scary story, but with a less satisfying payoff. I give Doctor Who Oxygen 2 Tarnishes out of 5. What? What is this?
Oh, fuck. It's time for the Time Lord of the Week.
Oh, today's Time Lord of the Week is my good friend Peter, seen here, ironically, holding a bunch of eyeballs. I don't mean that it's ironic because the Doctor is now blind. I mean Peter does everything ironically. That's because he's better known to you humans as the hipster. He goes around providing biting social commentary with nothing more than the inflections in his voice. And although irony is his bread and butter, he's also marvelous at sarcasm. His favorite target for sarcasm are those powerful yet grossly unqualified men who seem to have no idea what they're doing. You can imagine how happy he is in 2017. In fact, when he found out he was going to be Time Lord of the Week, he wrote me a sarcastic letter. Dear Lord Stark, great job on this Time Lord of the Week gig. It must take a real genius to come up with the names as deeply thought out of as mine. I'm so pleased you took my money in exchange for this brief moment of notoriety. Please, whatever you do, don't fall down a hole and die. Well, of course I won't, Peter, and thanks for the letter. What a nice lad. Hey. Well, reviewer, you've walked a mile in Jamie's moccasins. Are you ready to ask him back?
Oh, no, Stark, I've been a fool. A perfectly entitled, correct fool. I'm going to find Jamie and ask him to come back.
And it so happens that I know where Jamie is. He's been serving in my old outfit in the Night's Watch. In fact, he's sleeping in my bunk.
Wait a minute, you just want him back for your own evil purposes.
Look, the lads want him out. It's very windy up there and he keeps wearing that kilt with no breeches.
He is a bit of an exhibitionist. Let's go get Jamie.
Hurrah! Until next time, folks, when the man in the Mo haircut is back in this seat, I am Lord Stark, and this is You Know Who! Hello, everyone. I'm the reviewer. Would you like to appear on this season of You Know Who as a Time Lord? You would. Fantastic. Simply go to the Last Angry Geek's Patreon page, pledge the $10 level called Geek Lord, and send the geek a picture of yourself that you would like to appear on You Know Who. I'll come up with a Time Lord name and origin for you. But there are only so many slots available as there are only so many episodes of You Know Who for this season. So act now. Thank you, and good night.
Thank you.